Welcome to Seagull Eagle, the podcast where two rivals meet, Crystal Palace and Brighton, where every game changes everything until the next one.
This week at Brighton, a vital win against Forest, and then we all had to watch a sorry excuse for would-be champions crawl, moan and time waste their way to an undeserved victory. What has this game become?
Bitter. This week at Palace, we're through to the last 16 in Europe, VAR controversy at Old Trafford, and an impressive 3 points at Spurs.
We'll discuss all of this and so much more, because this is Seagull Eagle.
Hello, Neil. How are you?
Hello, Andy. Yes, I'm not too bad, mate. How are you? Happy birthday before I go any further. How are you? How was your day?
That was good, thank you. Yeah. Lovely, thank you. Obviously, it's not every day you turn 21, and I was, enjoying celebrating it, mate. So, I had a lovely time, man. Lovely time. The family did me proud, being
Good.
absolutely spoiled. And of course, you turned up on my doorstep with a bottle of Jack Daniels and a humorous card. And what more could you want from that? Right. Thank you very much.
You're very welcome. And thankfully you got back safe from your business trip as well. So thank you to all those listeners that messaged us and saying, where's Andy? Is he all right? Is he all right? Yeah, he's fine. Everything's fine.
Yeah, that one person, i.e. a family member, I'm sure was very concerned. No, all is good. All is good. And in fact, going back out there actually in a few more days. So yes, back. And unfortunately, Wi-Fi was not our friend, was it?
No, it was not.
With this. We tried while I was out there to do it. However, it did kind of make sense actually to roll this over, because obviously with no games this weekend as well, and obviously we were both playing midweek, so we can kind of wrap it all up into one big super podcast today, can't we?
Yeah, absolutely. Where should we start? What should we do, Andy?
I think we should get the thing you probably don't want to talk about over and done with. That trip to Arsenal. Oh no, they came to you, didn't they?
Oh, they
the
did.
Arsenal game.
Yeah.
And the one that all I've seen is people whinging about this.
Whinging?
There is a lot of whinging. Don't worry, I've got a couple of games where there's going to be a lot of whinging. It's all right, Neil.
Yeah, it's part of our ethos, mate. It's part of our DNA, isn't it, both of us?
Mate, look, the champions rocked up in Brighton and, they played every card in their hand, and unfortunately you didn't get any points out of it. But I want to know why, Neil. I want to know why. Tell me. Playing
every card in their hand suggests that they played some attacking football and scored loads of goals as well as all the other stuff. They didn't do that, but we'll get to that.
Scored one more than you.
Yeah, we'll get to that. Look, I'll keep it simple, right? I'm not going to talk that much about the game because honestly, there really isn't that much to talk about. Lineups, Welbeck, Milner, both rested, which I can understand with Milner being rested. It's got to be a lot doing the amount of games he's suddenly been asked to do. Welbeck I was a bit surprised about, but maybe they're nursing his sort of long-term injury and sort of physicality. So Jorginho comes back in at number 9.
Oh.
And Carlos Baleba came in, which is not necessarily a bad substitution for Milner if he's playing well. And Dunk missed the game, I believe, through just resting him because of the ongoing sort of nursing of a knee problem that he's got. I think he's just finding suddenly that he's played a hell of a lot of games for this beautiful club of ours. But he was replaced by Boscagli. And to be fair to Boscagli, I thought he played really well. So overall, not necessarily a huge surprise, the starting 11. The main one being, though, Jorginho at number 9. It's a bit of a concern. I don't see it see him as a number 9, and that played out that way, to be honest, through the whole game. As I say, I'm probably not going to go into the game too much because honestly, it was. I think a 0-0 would have been the right result. It was quite a dull game. There wasn't that much going on. I think we looked totally blunt up front. I think Jorginho, I'll say it one last time. He's not a number 9. And he tried his best to maybe hold up the ball and play others in, but he was not in good form either. And so it just didn't look right. It just didn't look the way that we should be playing. But the midfield and the defence, they worked really hard. They ran a lot. They were up against an incredibly strong physical side in Arsenal, and obviously they're very good technically as
Mate,
well.
they're pretty good, aren't they? I mean,
Exactly. And, they
yeah.
worked really hard. And I honestly believe a 0-0 would have been a fair result. The one goal, I don't know if you saw it, Andy, but the one goal was a bit of a joke anyway.
Yeah.
Really out of luck, really, from Brighton's perspective. The Saka on the right turns in and hits a deflected shot off Labour through Verbruggen's legs. There's just. Yeah, it was just one of those where you're thinking, oh, that's really undeserved. We were quite bright at the beginning. We were trying to put pressure on Arsenal, but the goal goes in, and I think the biggest shock for me was the fact that Arsenal score, they go 1 up, and they just decide that's it. They decide, no, you know what, that's fine. Deflected goal, that's all we need. We'll just sit here now. And honestly, the game overall felt like an experiment from Mikel Arteta to find out how little time they could have the ball in play for. It was truly unbelievable. And I've seen lots of teams come to the Amex, and I've seen Albion time waste. Do you know what I mean? I've seen
Oh,
people
I've seen
time
you
waste.
time waste. Don't you worry
Absolutely,
about that.
absolutely.
Yeah,
This
yeah.
this was a completely different level.
But the keeper spent a lot of time on the floor, didn't he? Wasn't he on the floor 3 times? Yeah,
3 times, Andy. How many times have you ever seen a player go down injured 3 times and not be substituted?
yeah.
Obviously, we know what he's doing, and it was a look. I'll get to that in a minute, right? The point I'm trying to make, and I'm not going to go over the game that much because, as I said, it was relatively boring from an events perspective. There wasn't that much, and that's down to Arsenal. That's down to our blunt attack. I think Fabian Hurzeler would clearly have been very happy with a 0-0, and I think that's what the game deserved, a 0-0.
It's
The
interesting though because the stats say otherwise,
In
right?
what way?
Well, you had 60% possession.
Yeah,
Uh, you had 11 shots on target to their 7. Sorry, 11 shots to
11
their
shots,
7,
yeah.
3 shots on target to their 2. And in terms of, I mean, mate, there's lots of others. Attempts outside the box, 5-1. 1-on-1
Yeah, I
attempts,
mean,
1-0. Like
does
it feels like that if you read them stats, you wouldn't
yeah.
see a 1-0 win for the other team normally.
No, absolutely. I mean, obviously, there's quite a few fans. I mean, even Fabian Hurzeler, obviously, saying we should have won it. I'm sort of a bit more on the fence, going, do you know what? I don't think the quality of the chances were that great in the game wholeheartedly. I think a 0-0 probably would have been a fair result. But I just think the thing that got me wasn't necessarily the fact that Arsenal win 1-0. Okay, they've been doing that a lot of the season. It was
Yeah.
the fact that I just think it's really embarrassing from a side like Arsenal to come and, I had to sit there and watch a team who are top of the league, right? They're a team that have a great history, and they come turning up to a mid-table side, let's say, right? Only won 3 games since Christmas, and they
Yeah.
just defend. They time waste, they whinge, and they time waste some more. I
Mm.
just wonder what Arsene Wenger thinks about his Arsenal side now. The man who created a great legacy at that club of playing beautiful football, who's just watching it being destroyed by this anti-joy, anti-expression, anti-football manager and team.
Mm. Well, mate, is anyone going to actually care who supports Arsenal if and when they lift that trophy at the end of it? Is anyone going to remember the goalkeeper going down 3 times at Brighton, apart from the Brighton fans? I
And
don't
I
think it's going to taint their legacy, mate. And to be honest with you, would you? You're gonna go against what I'm
Go
about to
on,
say
ask
here,
it because I know what you're going to
mate.
say.
I'd win the Premier League by playing like that every week if that was an
No,
option.
no,
I
not for
genuinely,
me.
but you wouldn't win a Premier League trophy
Not like
without
that.
playing interesting football.
Not like that. No,
I'd
no,
take it. I wouldn't
no.
enjoy it, but I'd take
I
it for a season.
I love football because of the expressionist. I love football because of the great players. I love football because of the wonderful tactics and the joy it brings people.
Mm.
That in no way brought joy. And look, I argue that point about no one's going to say anything in a year's time when they see Arsenal have won the title. I get the point. I get the concept completely.
Yeah.
They need to win a title to prove that Arteta is a good manager because so far they've bottled it every year, and I get
Mm.
that, right? But my point is, if this continues, right? If let's say for instance, they win the title, still not a gimme, but let's say they do. Next season, and the season after that, if they continue to play this way, are you telling me that all the Arsenal fans are going, yeah, this is what football's all about? Yeah, this is it. Long throws, going down, time
Nah,
wasting. Yeah, this is it.
because it'll be the same as, what happened to West Ham, Crystal Palace, Spurs, all the others. You achieve something wonderful. Everyone's like, this is brilliant because we're not used to doing this. And then give it a year or two, and then everyone turns on that person.
But
I
that's
think
the
it's
point.
so. I think that's probably what
Arsenal
happened,
aren't a
mate.
West Ham, are they, mate? You know, Arsenal
No, but
aren't
they
a
haven't won
Leicester.
the league.
Arsenal,
They haven't won the league in a while. If they
but
win the league
supposedly
doing
they're
it,
a big side.
oh yeah, but mate, I mean, supposedly Tottenham are a big side. We'll get to that later. But I think that's the point though, in it, which is that if they win the league by these means, and I think they'll take it because they're so desperate to win the league.
Yeah.
It's just, mate, I'm with you. I mean, I'm enjoying the fact of how wound up you're getting about this, and I thoroughly enjoyed how wound up Hurzeler was getting in his press conference and on
Right.
the touchline. Right,
Yeah.
I absolutely love that.
Yeah,
But also, mate, it's the game. It's the
No.
game, and if it's within the rules of the game, they can do it.
Well, so that's the point in it, mate. That is the absolute point. And
Yeah.
there's two things here. There's the one which is the rules of the game, and then there's the other which is the spirit of the game. Hurzeler very much is quoted this week as talking about the rules and the way things are going in this game. And I think he's
Yeah.
got a fair point. I don't think it's, he's choosing Arsenal because obviously it's a really good example to choose Arsenal, but they're not the only team that are doing this. You know, as you say, Brighton do it from time to time as well. I'm not saying that Brighton don't do it. I'm talking about the game as a whole. I'm not sitting here as a Brighton fan. I'm sitting here as a fan of football and the love, the joy that football gives people, right? So yeah, let's talk about Fabian Hurzeler and his quotes. So I'm going to read some of them out because they were great, right? In the press conference afterwards, in the press room.
Can you do it in his accent, please?
No, I'm not going to do
Okay.
that. Got in trouble last time.
Okay.
Right. Everyone here in the room, did you really enjoy this football game? Right. That's what he started with. Love that. I absolutely love that. This is honestly, he's gone up in my estimations for this press conference.
It's
right.
got a sense of humour. I like it.
Yeah. Yeah. He says, at some point they're going to be champions, but I think it's always the way we just spoke about, the way of winning. Which kind of way are you choosing? And if they win the league, I said it, no one will ask how they win, and they just deserve it, as you said, Andy, right? But in the end, we have to make the limits, or the Premier League has to go and make limits. In other words, talking about how much time wasting there is allowed, how much there is, something has to be done, he says. Where will this go in the future? That's my question. Where will this go? Like, at one point, one game you play 60 minutes with the ball in play. And then you play against Arsenal and it's only 50 minutes. That's 10 minutes difference. So for this and for the supporters, what are they paying for? Do you get my point? He says, right? And then someone asked him about the referees. He said, well, surely the referees can do something. Is it the referee's fault? And he's going, it's difficult. I said to the referee, Chris Kavanagh, he said, it's difficult for him. So I won't complain about the referee. He said, do you want to send off the goalkeeper with 2 yellow cards for time wasting? That will just never happen. So what should we do? What should he do? That's the thing. And then he said, I just think that we need rules. We need limits because that's also what he admits to me at half time, he said. So in other words, the referee admitted to him at half time. He said, I didn't even talk about the penalty that we might have received at half time. We just talked about how you can reduce the time waste. And he says it's even difficult for him.
Which I don't understand, Neil. Which I don't understand because we have additional time, right? There's meant to be the assistant referee, the third referee, whatever we call them these days, and they've got all of this equipment at their disposal, including a stopwatch. And every time that ball's out of play, every time or whatever, it's meant to be clocked up. And I'm assuming that. That rule clearly isn't working because if Arsenal were averaging 50 minutes of time in play in a 90-minute game, that's a hell of a lot of extra time.
So we got 6 minutes, Andy, for the whole game, including 5 substitutions each side, 3 times the time wasting goalkeeper goes down, countless long throws, countless time wasting, countless free kicks in the wrong place. Sorry, let me move it. The whole thing was just ridiculous all the way through. And we get 6 minutes at the end of the game.
But do you know what? There's the other way of looking at this, isn't there? Which is that it's genius from Arsenal, right? They disrupted your play. They wound you up.
I'm not having a go at Arsenal anymore.
Psychologically kicked you, mate.
No, we weren't going to win that game, mate. No one was expecting us to win that game. That's fine. I don't care about Brighton in this argument, right? I'm talking about the rules of the game, right? Something has to be done. Hurzeler has got a point. Something has to be done,
mate,
because supposedly this is a brand. This is entertainment we're watching. That was not entertainment in any shape or form on Wednesday night.
Well, it's like, like when you there's this really annoying road along the seafront, right? Where there's 2 lanes that go into one, right? And all the polite people queue on the left-hand side and sit there for hours. But yet the other people go down the right-hand side because legally, you're meant to actually do that to stop the congestion, right?
Yeah.
But the people sat on the left-hand side go, well, that's not particularly polite, is it? Right? And in this occasion, right, Brighton were the left-hand lane and Arsenal were the right-hand lane because the rules... They were working within the rules, right?
They weren't working within the rules,
but they were, though, because the referee admitted at half-time. No, but he admitted at half-time that the rules of the game allow that kind. And I'm not saying I agree with it, mate.
No,
but in essence, what we're saying here is Arsenal have hacked it, right? Arsenal have found a way to frustrate their opposition, to absolutely make it a bore-off, but they're getting results out of it, and that is within the confines of the game.
I cannot wait for Pep Guardiola to beat Arsenal when they play them. I cannot wait for it.
Because I don't want Arsenal to win the league. Tell me anyone who does. Apart from a couple of Arsenal fans.
It's horrific, mate. It's horrific. I'd rather watch a Sean Dyche Burnley, and that, for anyone that knows me, is saying something.
Would you rather watch Palace win a game?
Oh, now that's a tough one.
Do
you know what? I might. Andy, honestly, I might even go to watch a home game at Palace rather than watch that rubbish that I watched Arsenal pull out. Supposed Big Six side. Honestly,
well, listen, mate, you're welcome at Selhurst Park anytime. I've got plenty of friends I could introduce you to.
Thank you.
Yeah,
so look, the game finished 1-0 to Arsenal. We know the result. Hurzeler had his say. The interesting thing is, it was, obviously a lot of Arsenal supporters saying they're just whinging. Brighton's just whinging. Hurzeler's just whinging. I get it. I could totally get it. But the more we bring this to the forefront, the more other managers get on board and say, come on, grow up, everyone. Can we start playing some football? I think the better for the game it will be in the long run. And I hope that other people follow suit and start pointing this out, because it's getting beyond a joke now. Anyway, look, I'm off my soapbox.
Well, Neil, do you know what? There is a cautionary tale with this, though, isn't there? Because without going into too much, sometimes when you wish for change, right? Change comes and it overcomplicates the game even further. And I guess, what are we actually wishing for here? Are we wishing for like the actual, does the ball have to stay in play for a minimum of 80 minutes?
Do you know what?
Do you know what? Do you get what I mean? And it's then it's like, then we get down to the point of, I mean, we're going to talk about this later with VAR, but then it gets down to the point of interpretation of said rule. And then we end up with 8 o'clock kickoffs going on till midnight. It's all, do you get what I'm saying? It's all of that. It's difficult, mate. It's difficult.
There is, I mean, I do another podcast called The Trouble with Football, right?
Do you?
And I do. I don't know if I've mentioned it, right? But one of the episodes that's coming up in a few weeks, we talk about time wasting, right? I'll surprise everyone with the guest, okay? But the point I'm making in that, and I did some research into it, and one of the options for this, like 60 minutes to 65, 66 minutes is sort of the expected number of minutes a ball is in play for, right? One of the options that we could do here is very much like American football, very much like basketball, which is actually you have a clock on its own that is set at, let's say, 65 minutes. And every time the ball goes out of play, it just stops. It's a set clock up in the stadium, right? Someone just starts and stops it with a button. That's it. Every time the ball's out, that's it. So then there's no time lost, because you can't time waste, because the game is either stopped or it's in play. That's it. And so therefore you have to play those 65 minutes, let's say, for every game to finish. And there is no injury time. There's nothing, because actually the clock just stops. You know what I mean? So it's done. I appreciate at lower level that might be more difficult to do. But at the Premier League and league levels, I think that's something that could be done. And I, for one, would love to see that.
or we just see the back of Arteta because I don't enjoy him. And he ruined the games every time that Palace go there or they come to us. So it's exactly the same, mate. Yeah. And this is why that hardly anyone wants them to win the league is the truth of the matter. There's not many neutrals that are rooting for them right now.
No, I agree.
In a normal situation, if someone was going for that league that hadn't won it for a while, the neutrals would be like, yeah, anyone but Man City, this is getting boring. It's interesting.
It's a really good point. It's a really good point. Why? Yeah. Okay, mate. Well, look, that's it. We lost to Arsenal. Not really a big surprise. Done, dusted. We move on. Let's talk about last night's game at time of recording. Crystal Palace went to what someone I heard someone call it? 0 Point Lane, I think someone called it, which I thought was quite harsh but funny at the same time. You played Spurs last night, and Spurs, oh my lord. They are in a hell of a place at the moment, aren't they?
They're in a right pickle. And I mean, imagine being a Tottenham fan right now, right? We go through the mill, don't we? But imagine being a Tottenham fan, Arsenal about to win the league and Tottenham potentially going down. What a season that could be for a Tottenham fan. Right, where do we start? Tottenham, no league win still in 2026, right? They're on a 10-game winless run going into this. Igor Tudor yet to register a league win. Last time Tottenham won a game, Neil, do you know when that was? Or who that was against?
Was it Palace?
Yeah.
The 1-0, wasn't it? The dodgy 1-0.
That fixtures come all the way round, and it was a very dodgy 1-0 as well that they won. But so, yes, we're the last team that they actually did beat in the league. So I would imagine when this fixtures come around, they're thinking, oh, actually, do you know what? We might be all right. However, saying that, though, Palace have beaten Spurs twice in our last 3 meetings. So we'd won the previous 2 before that. And we're not bad in London away derbies either, believe it or not. We've got a really, really good record. We've actually won more than we've lost. Right, lineups wise, 2 changes. Chadi Riyad has come in for Lacroix because he's suspended, which we'll talk about later in the podcast because we're going through backwards. So you're going to have to bear with us, people. It's like going on holiday and reading your emails. You get the latest news first. And then Efan Gesand comes in for Brennan Johnson. Obviously, Johnson playing against his old club. He does come on, but later on in the game. Gesand starting, genius move. Love the guy. Talk about it later. First half, Palace came out of the blocks quick, man. Quick. And we looked good. And I think this is similar to potentially what's been going on with Brighton. I think maybe as this podcast goes on, your confidence builds a bit and you start kind of gaining a bit of momentum over a few games. And I think this was the Tottenham game was the end result. I think that first half was, really, really good, mate. It was really good. It was like the old Palace again. Early chance for Walton inside a minute, right? So it's like we had our first crack at goal inside a minute. And then I think probably the next thing from that, apart from it was just lovely to watch, like it was just nice to see us go out a team and actually have a lot of the possession as well and feel quite comfortable with it, which was quite nice. We had a big change in the back 3, obviously, a different pairings, obviously with Riyad and Camvo playing as well. It kind of felt, it was like this could go wrong, but it didn't. It felt quite comfortable, which was nice. The big thing that happened first really was Muniz getting taken out by Sousa. Incredibly dangerous and heavy and irresponsible challenge, Neil. Do you know what? I'm not angry about it. I'm disappointed, right? It was bad. It was bad. It was really bad. He got a yellow for it, but you knew exactly. But mate, the way that he fell upwards and then straight back down again and landed on his shoulder. I don't
think there was any intent, though. I think it was just someone, as a young kid who's got his first start for this big side, and I think he's just a bit over exuberance. I don't think he meant any malice by it. He just got it wrong.
I don't think he meant any malice by it, but I think it was just it was irresponsible. Yeah, it was irresponsible. And I question. I'm like, I'm not. I never kind of go wrangling for red cards or anything, but also he done that guy some harm, right? I mean, when you look at what you could get red for these days,
well, that's true.
I don't know. I mean, if you actually genuinely injure someone like that from a misplaced challenge, I'm not quite sure. I mean, he weren't even going to give him a yellow actually until he saw the damage that he'd done. Anyway, Muniz, the legend that he is, the Colombian warrior, decided that even though he was injured and only had one arm, he would just carry on anyway. So he was holding his arm as if you would in a sling and just carried on playing. And then the referee went over to him and went, "You all right, mate?" And he was like, "Yeah, man, I'm fine. I've got this." Then the next thing, within about 30 seconds, Muniz ended up in a goal scoring opportunity in front of the goal and proper swipes the ball. And I think he kind of didn't quite realise what he does with his arms when he hits the ball. He hit the ball really hard. His arms flew all the way around, and you could tell mid kick he was like, "Oh man, this hurts."
I don't know if anyone's ever done anything like that where they've tried to play on or do anything. You could just tell the poor bloke. You could just tell the second he kicked the ball, his arm went up in the normal position, and you could see his whole face just regretting his life choices at that moment. Bless him. Just so much pain.
Yeah, and then I think even at that point, the ref went, "Mate, seriously, I think you need to get off." So he came off. I mean, to me, it looked a bit like a dislocation or something.
I wondered that. Yeah,
When he was walking, he wasn't even. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I think Glasner's said that hopefully it's not too bad, but they're trying to work out what it is. So I don't really know. I've just got this image of him sat in the dressing room with a block of wood in his mouth, biting it. And then before he puts the block of wood in, he's like, "Get it done quick, let's go." I just feel like that guy feels no pain, even though we witnessed that he did. Anyway, Nathaniel Klein, yes, he still plays for Palace, and yes, he is on his 249th appearance. Which is quite impressive. Even more impressive when he gets 250. I guess we celebrate that one. He had a really good game, Neil. He had a really good game. There was a point when it was all going a bit wrong for Palace when we were having to use him and he weren't quite up to speed. The last two times that he's come on, he's been there and he's got right involved, and he does not look his age on that pitch. I think you've got one of them in your team, haven't you? But I think from that point on, we took control, and I think we looked most likely to go ahead. And, well, we thought we had, Neil. We thought we had, and this is the first bit of controversy in the podcast, apart from your stuff.
Controversy?
There.
What's controversial about it?
Here we go. All right, Neil. How many times have you scored a goal using your nose?
Well, it's part of your face, Andy. It's part of your head. So you can score a goal with your face, can't you?
Rules, you can score a goal with your forehead. You can score a goal with your forehead.
Offside, Andy. Do you remember that? Remember that?
I've just never
offside's
known.
Offside, Andy. You know, it's just, it can't help it. It's just offside. It's a rule.
Yeah, just never really known anyone score a goal with their nose before.
Wow.
And also, I guess if you've got a larger nose, does that mean you're at a disadvantage these days?
Yes. That's why Ibrahimovic quit.
Isn't it? Do you know what I'm saying? So, yeah, look, 29 minutes, Gessan played a sideways ball to Sarr, right? Which was interesting in itself because immediately I looked at that and went, well, that's offside, isn't it? But then I realised that the player had beaten his man, right? So he'd beaten his man and he's running with the ball behind the defence, right? Which immediately makes you think, oh, it's offside. But you're like, hang on a minute. No. The ball is in front of Sarr when the ball is played, right? It's not about the defender at this point because it's about whether it's a forward pass or not, right?
Yeah, I agree. It's one of those where you watch the game live and you go, oh, that's clearly offside. But actually, when you see it in replay, you go, oh, hang on.
Yeah, but when you see it in the replay, Neil, and the thing that has got everyone's goat is that the lines on the pitch, you know, the grass lines, right? They clearly show that the ball was one side of the grass line and Sarr was the other side of the grass line. So even at whatever angle you're at, it's impossible for Sarr to have been in front of the ball because
apart from the angle where you're in Stockley Park and using the lines.
Well, apart from the angle where you choose the frame of which to use for the thing. And this is what it all comes down to, mate, doesn't it? It all comes down to the fact that they chose the frame. And I think ultimately VAR, not only did they discount what was actually a really good goal and a nice break, but in their eyes it was offside. They ruled it to be offside. Whether it actually was or not, I question it. However,
the amount of weeks I've sat here and said about offside, you go, it's the rules. It's the rules.
Well, have you? I mean, I think you find Palace have done what Palace do. Palace have done what Palace do, and they found a way to be the first team to be ruled offside by a nose.
I just can't believe you're sitting here moaning, going on about a VAR decision where you didn't get a goal when you've won the game 3-1.
Yeah, but do you know what though? The point being is that we won't play Tottenham every week, and I
very
think,
true.
You know, but I think the point being, and this is exactly the same thing that happened to us, where a decision went our way in the Man United game, mate, and the momentum changes, and I knew exactly what would happen. That goal gets ruled out, the game resets, and within 3 minutes you go behind because everyone's so annoyed about the fact that that's gone against them. And I think this is what gets underestimated about the over-refereeing of games. Anyway, we could spend 4 hours talking about it. I'm not happy about it, Neil. I'm not happy about the fact that a nose, which you physically could not score with, rules out a game. But anyway, a goal, sorry. But anyway, we'll move on. Then, as I said, predictably, when decisions go against you, momentum changes. 2 minutes later, against the run of play, Tottenham caught Palace sleeping because they were still livid, questioning about noses in their head. And then all of a sudden, Archie Gray manages to get behind 2 Palace players, including Richards, just about make sure the ball doesn't go out, which also got VAR checked, by the way, at the correct angle. Then they poked the ball to Solanke, who tapped it in completely unmarked. And poor old JD Canvo, who had a really good game, unfortunately just watched that one happen in a completely wrong position. So at this point, heads could have gone down and have done in the past, right? But the Palace boys responded, feeling hard done by that situation. Strand Larsen heads a high ball into Sarr, breaks through, and he's dragged down viciously, Neil, by Mickey van der Ven. A clear penalty, red card for a professional foul.
Total
disgraced, walking off, feeling ashamed of himself.
Total head's gone from Van der Ven. They're only one great player that they've got, and
only player with pace as well at the back, right?
Just ridiculous. Like, talk about kamikaze. Like, just let the goal in. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, and I'm sure it was just a reaction that he couldn't help himself. You know, that sort of feeling of like, oh, I've got to do something. But honestly, terrible decision.
And also quite nice to see a penalty where it didn't have to go frame to frame. I mean, it was like, there ain't no doubting that he pulled him down there, right? Anyway, Sarr's no-look penalty was superb. I actually really enjoyed that. He looked, I tell you what, when you look at a player before they take a penalty, Neil, and you go, oh, I don't know if I feel confident about this. He looks like he's absolutely bricking it. And he did. He looked terrified. But maybe that's just his face. I think it is, bless him. But yeah, he basically just stared at the keeper, did a little skippy thingy, made him commit to one side, kicked it the other side, didn't even look. 1-1. Momentum shifted back. I think we're back to where we should have been at the start of all this. However, now we've got the extra man, right? And also we are playing pretty well. So this potentially should be looking good. We're playing full of confidence and with Wharton at his best, right? And this is where the next probably 12 to 15 minutes were the best quarter of an hour worth of football I've watched this season. I loved this game. Absolutely loved it. So much so I was watching the game with my son and he disappeared for these 15 minutes. Went to go and do something, homework, or I can't remember what he did. And he came back and he was like, what's happened here? I went, mate, you've just missed the best 15 minutes of football this season. It was brilliant. Anyway, so as we entered half-time stoppage time, Guessand, who was brilliant in this game in terms of, did he have loads of moments of brilliance? No. Was he hustling and did he make an absolute pain in the arse for himself? Yes, he did.
I was going to say that. Actually. I was watching the first half and I messaged you as well. And the reason I messaged you was for Wharton, but actually you're right. Guessand was a menace, wasn't he? Do you know what I mean? He was just a menace everywhere.
Because you're like this goal that we're about to talk about came from absolutely nothing. There was a pass. Tottenham had the ball in comfortable possession, passed it. It should have been a very clear pass. Guessand had other ideas, and he just made an absolute menace of himself. Gets the ball off of the Spurs defender. Wharton picks it up, right? So Guessand doesn't even deliver a smooth pass to Wharton. He just gets the ball off the defender. And then next thing we know, Wharton picks it up, plays a superb pass into Strand Larsen, who accelerates quicker than is physically possible and nutmegs the keeper really, really calmly. And it wasn't even an accidental nutmeg either, because when I saw that, I was like, he didn't mean to do it like that. I think he just went for it. But you saw he had a little look. He had a little look and went, it's going through there. And it did. 2-1 Palace. Strand Larsen, another good game for him as well.
Oh, yeah. I mean, he's fitting into the Palace style very nicely. He is. He really is.
Then Wharton received a great ball from Canvo, who again, had a brilliant. I've got a stat to share with you in a minute, but he had a brilliant game in his kind of attacking defence role, right? And so basically, Walton then plays this ridiculous
Oh,
ball over the defence, and with Sarr. I think obviously this only works, right? Because Walton thought he overhit it when he got asked about it after the game. He was like, "I thought it was too long," but then I realised that it was Sarr on the end of it, and obviously Sarr accelerated and ran perfectly to beat the defence, right? So when you look at that ball going midway, you actually realise that Sarr somehow manages to get behind all of the defenders as
yeah,
that ball. I mean, it's just
yeah.
perfect timing, but perfect waiting on that ball,
The,
and Sarr just pokes it home.
the thing for me, right, with that ball to Sarr, I mean, I thought the first one was a wonderful little pass. This one is another level of
Oh, it's
pass,
a whole nother level.
and the thing that surprised me the most out of it all was the weighting of the pass because he's hitting it with his left foot.
Mm,
Right, he shouldn't. Basically, that angle, he needs to hit it with the right so that it'll keep away from the goalkeeper, essentially. But he
yeah.
hits it with the left, naturally, his natural foot, and he somehow still manages it to stop in front of Sarr, to not get to the keeper, to dip in time. It was just beautiful, absolutely beautiful pass. One of the best I've seen this season.
Yeah, and do you know what? It's lovely to see the midfield and the attackers linking up. But it's
Mm,
also lovely to see the fact that our attackers aren't scared to put their foot in, put their head
yeah,
in, whatever it is, because that is what is needed, and that's potentially where Mateta was going a bit wrong before he had his bit of a rest and thought he was going to go over to Italy and all the other bits and pieces. And I think Strand Larsen's come in with no fear, and he's just going for everything. So yeah, there we go. Second half, this indicates quite probably what happened was if you watch all the highlight reels, you know where they give you the best 3.5 or best 6 minutes of the game. All of the highlights reels stop there.
yeah.
There wasn't anything really in the second half that was worthy of a highlights reel. I mean, in essence, actually, without being negative about it, the first 20 minutes of that second half, Palace were actually not very good. We
No,
came
no.
out very complacent.
But I think Spurs had to do something. If they were going to try for
Yeah.
if they had any self-respect, they had to at least come out and show a bit of hard work, a bit of bluster. Do you know what I mean? And they did
Mm.
that for the first 20 minutes. You're right. Palace weren't really in the game for the first 20 minutes of the second half. But look, I have to say something, and this is not tongue in cheek, okay? Palace, I agree, played very well in the first half. I agree. But Spurs were so bad. So
Mm.
bad. Like, they were awful. They were
Yeah, we
really
played
bad.
against worse this year,
Do you
and
think?
well, and lost as well. But yeah, we have. I think we played against worse. I think that everyone who's saying that Spurs were so bad and awful, I think that they're underestimating the fact that we were actually having a good day. And I'm quite
Mm,
happy to say we haven't had many good days, right? But I think we were having a good because from the offset we went at them, right?
yeah,
So I think there's that, and I think the fact that a lot of our players are linking up together, and we can now cut a team open with them 3 or 4 passes
yeah,
into goal, which is what we were struggling to do. I think that Spurs had their heads down. Absolutely, they did. But also, let's not take it away from Palace, right? I think the second half was probably more of an accurate indication of like a Spurs team working hard for that first 20, 30 minutes, but they
yeah.
couldn't do anything more with it. And actually,
No.
I mean, let's be honest, we forced, I think there was 2 or 3 actually very good saves that Henderson had to pull out in that second half. And I think that there was, yeah, I'd say they had enough opportunities to at least get that second goal back to make it into a tie at the end, which they just couldn't muster. But then
Yeah.
also, how do you muster that spirit on the pitch when we get into the last 30 minutes of the game and the capacity of the stadium is now a quarter of what it was at half time?
Yeah.
I mean, the players are up against it a little bit there, aren't they?
I mean, the players are the new management. That it's. I think there's just a whole perfect storm of huge amounts of injuries for that squad. Changing the managers, they're not happy with the leadership in the boardroom either. There's so many things going on at that club currently. they're just in a one-way ride down, through to the Championship at this rate. They really
I
are.
know.
Like,
But
it's
they've got an amazing
crazy.
squad though, Neil. But they haven't got.
But
I
they're all
wouldn't say
injured,
that.
Andy.
Well, look, they're all injured, but also they haven't got a squad to fight for relegation.
No.
And I think this is the thing, right? But anyway, let's talk about a squad that isn't fighting for relegation anymore. And with Sarr and Strand Larsen linking up really, really well with the midfield these days. And I think we've got options off the bench. I think it is looking a lot more positive. The one player that I really wanted to highlight actually in this game wasn't the man of the match, Sarr, wasn't Walton, wasn't Strand Larsen, all the others that everyone's talking about. It's actually Canvo. This 19-year-old who has come in and he's had a nightmare, right? He was the one that was, had that killer back pass that made us go 1-0 down in his, I think, second game with us in the Premier League. He gave away the penalty and all the other bits and pieces. He seems to have had a bit of bad luck, but the reason is because he's not scared to get involved. But in this game, he did brilliantly, right? He was, the important game came down to the inexperience because he was the only option, right? He's the only option to go in there, and he had 16 passes into the final third in that one game. And to put that into perspective, so he was the top of that field in terms of passes into the final third.
Yep.
Second, third, fourth, and fifth for Palace, right? Of passes into the final third, only achieved 15 between them all.
Wow.
Right.
Okay.
So he got 16. So I know it's not a stat we often use, but in our system, you need that. And that's something that was lacking during this period of the abyss where we weren't winning games. Like Gahey,
I was going to say that's what Gahey used to do. Yeah,
mate.
Yeah.
Of course he did.
Yeah.
Of course he did.
Yeah.
And it's about. And I think we got into this habit, and this is why the crowd were turning on the players a little bit of this sideways, wing, sideways, and it's like no, like a ball through the middle's fine, a diagonal ball is fine. Get it up to the big men. Like Strand Larsen can deal with it, right? And that's what Canvo did in this game. And if you watch it over and over again, and because you tend to not watch the defenders, unless there's someone's coming at him, he did brilliantly.
Yeah.
So thank you, JD. I love you, and I think you're going to do well, mate.
Well, listen.
Do you want me just to tell you, though, 3 wins in 5 Premier League games, Neil, 10 points away from the relegation zone, 5 or 6 away from a European place, but I can't quite work it out. And most importantly, Neil, a point above Brighton, back where we belong.
I prefer not to speak. If I speak, I will be in trouble.
Dude, you were playing our arch rivals of 2025-2026 season, Nottingham Forest, weren't you?
On the weekend,
That was the game on the weekend, because obviously we're catching up on all of them today. And I'll be honest, I'm going to get hated for saying this on the Seagull Eagle podcast, but I didn't know, I didn't know who I wanted to lose. Does that make sense?
No,
Because a draw wouldn't have been satisfactory for me. I want to see Forest go down. I never like to see Brighton win. Let's be honest, I don't.
I know exactly what you mean. I feel the same way when it's Palace Chelsea. Like I feel the same way. Do you know what I mean? It's like
it was a tricky one for me. It was. I mean, if there was ever a game where 2 teams could lose, this hopefully would have been it. Well, do you know what? I mean, you've piled the misery onto Nottingham Forest, and given Tottenham a bit more of a chance, I guess, on this one. But tell us about the game, mate. Tell us about the game. Was it a good game?
It was a good game. Do you know what it was? I mean, if you think about the fact that it was off the back of our win at Brentford, right, where we finally got a win, we played pretty well, and so you look at that and you think to yourself, okay, what's Fabian Hurzeler going to do? How are they going to line up? Hopefully, they'll keep everything roughly the same if they can, all that sort of stuff. And for only the second time in Fabian Hurzeler's history at Brighton, he kept the same side. So that was a great start. I mean, you couldn't argue it, could you? Really, he had to. If he hadn't of, and everyone was fit, I think a lot of people would have would have been mutiny, really, in that sense.
The first time he did that, it went all right, and now the second time he's done that, and it's done all right. I mean,
who knew?
It don't take a genius to work this one out, Fabian. Anyway,
so look, the midfield of Hinshelwood, Gross, and Milner were key again. I think. I think the thing that I would say about the game generally was that it was. It's going to sound really stereotypical. It was a game of 2 halves, Andy.
Was it?
It was, and the first half was the first 15, 20 minutes was a little crazy. We had all 3 goals in that first sort of 15 minutes of the game. And the great thing about it was that we scored very early in the game, very much like the Brentford. We went ahead first. And I think that's starting to help us. If we can go ahead first, I think that gives us a better way of playing, gives us more confidence, etc. But this time, this was a bit of a sloppy mistake. I think it was only 6 minutes into the game that we scored. Yeah, so a few sloppy mistakes from the Forest at the back. The ball fell to Gross, who sort of knocked it over the top to Gomez. And Gomez, who somehow, I really don't understand, managed to half volley it into the net from the edge of the box. Like, it was a wonderful, wonderful hit. I've been saying quite a lot of things about Gomez, right? And I stand by them. And this almost argues my point as well, that sometimes he just pulls things out of the bag like this. The volley, which he hit down into the ground, which sort of hovered across the ground. He hit it so purely and it went into the bottom corner. Did you see the goal?
I saw the wonderful goal, and do you know what was the first thing that came into my head? That's going to do Neil's credibility a great lot of good, because he hates that man, and he don't rate him.
Oh, I don't hate him, Andy.
Oh, it's not what I heard, mate.
No,
it's not what I heard.
That's harsh.
I mean,
don't hate him.
We've had Brighton fans calling in on our hotline and saying, Neil, leave him alone. The poor guy, you should be back in the shirt.
Look,
do you know what I mean?
I've said before why I struggle with him. Anyone wants to look
Don't
at it,
do
have a
it
look
again,
at social
it's
media.
not nice.
No, I'm not going to.
Leave him alone. He scored, man.
He scored a goal, and
it's a good one as well.
For this game and the game before, I think there's a clear reason why he's in the team. And at the moment, for the sake of not having someone else, for some reason, Fabian Hurzeler can rely on, what he brings is energy, hard work, and the ability to close down players. He doesn't stop running. And I understand, therefore, that's what Hurzeler wants in that position. And that's fine. That's the way it is. That's it. What I would like to see is a bit more quality. And thankfully, in the last couple of games, he's started to show that. And this goal was the antithesis of this. It was wonderful. It really was.
Well, so get off his back now, Neil. Leave him alone.
I'll leave him for now. We'll see what happens.
Thank you.
So somehow, we're 1-0 up, 6 minutes gone. Very happy with that. And, obviously he's got 2 goals in 2 games, Gomez. And so happy days, we're ahead and we're thinking, okay, this is a good start. Now, the Forest, they get back into it literally 5 minutes later, I think, 13 minutes. There you go. Yeah, 6-7 minutes later. And their goal, not much of an issue really from Brighton's perspective, bizarrely. It was just a really good move. A couple of dummies went through, sold the defenders. And the shot from Morgan Gibbs-White, I still can't work out whether it took a deflection or not. It seemed to wrong foot for Verbruggen somehow, and I don't really understand that. And Verbruggen's been fantastic for us, so I'm not going to call him out particularly. It was a surprise it went in, but it was a very good goal at the same time.
Oh, he doesn't really score not good goals, let's be honest, does he? 1-1. I mean, do you, at that point, after 13 minutes, you're kind of thinking, only 13 minutes gone. Are you thinking this is going to go in your favour at this point?
No, not at all. I mean, at that moment, I'm just thinking this is open. This is a very open game, and I'm worried about the fact that it's an open game, especially with the pace that Forest have, the skill up front they've got. I'm like, I don't really want to turn this into a basketball game. Do you know what I mean? Where it's just up and down constantly. And ironically, the next goal turned up 90 seconds later, and it felt a bit of a crazy start in that sense. And this was a lot better though from an Albion perspective. And what I mean by that is I've noticed this in the last 3 games a lot more. Even the game against Arsenal, I noticed this as well. And that is that we have started to use our wingers, at least Matoma anyway, a lot wider. At the beginning of the season and through this sort of barren spell, he's been coming inside so much. It was clearly a tactic. But recently, he's been splitting that a lot more and staying out wide for a lot more. Something that he's maybe a lot more used to, if that makes sense. And I think the goal, Gomez picked up the ball sort of on the right-hand side, came in midfield, out to Ferdy on the left, Ferdy then to Gross, then on to Matoma. And Matoma, and this is the point I'm making, doing something incredibly rare for Karu Matoma, right? He stayed out wide and he actually put in an early cross with his left foot. And
Wow.
honestly, I have never seen him cross the ball with his left foot before, but I think that took a lot by surprise. It was a very high cross over to the far post. Jack Inchwood in his sort of new number 10 role almost, backing up the striker, heads it back down into the centre of the box, and Welbeck is there. Great little control, great little turn, puts it in the back of the net, 2-1 up. And that whole moment of Matoma getting down the wing and putting an early cross in, he's done it quite a few times over the last 3 games now. And I'm hopeful that that is something that he's going to continue to do. I don't want him to do it all the time, but he needs to do it so that the defender doesn't know what he's going to do, so that there's a decision to make for the defender. If our wingers constantly come in all of the time, it makes it easy for defending all the time because they know what they're going to do. No one's ever going to go out to the side. It's easy.
Need to vary it. Yeah.
Exactly. So look, it was a great goal. We were 2-1 up. As I said, that was, like 15 minutes into the game. And we're like, oh my God, this is a bit of a crazy start. The rest of the half, though, actually was then fairly calm. It was as if the players and hopefully the manager said, okay, we've got the lead again. We don't want to risk it now. Let's calm it down a little bit. And we played some really good football. There was some really lovely sort of early Hurzeler, beginning of last season, passing moves. There seemed to be a bit more confidence, obviously, in the team, having had a win and then 2-1 up in this game. And there were some really good passing little moves that I haven't seen at the Amex for quite a few months. And it was a lovely first half, if I'm honest. And it was probably the best half of football I've seen, certainly this year for Albion, if not this season. I thought it was very, very good.
You were playing Forest, though, right?
We were playing Forest, and this is a really good point, right? Now, I'm not going to get too excited. I'm just going to say it was a really good performance in the first half.
Yeah.
Forest, clearly, and I think Vitor Pereira actually said something after the game as well. They clearly mucked up the way that they were supposed to be pressing, right? They let us get out so often, and you could be tricked and fooled into thinking that Brighton were wonderful at the back and they were passing out fantastically. I just don't think they had to try that hard to get the ball out as much as they usually have to do. And the second half, I think, proved that. The second half, Forest definitely tried to press us more. And to be honest, I mean, I don't think they caused us many problems, but they did work harder on the press and try and stop us and slow us down.
Yeah.
But then I also think in countering that, the second half, Brighton kept the ball really well. There wasn't that much frustration. The only frustration I think you had from the fans was us wanting to be a little bit more expansive and trying to go for the next goal to make it a bit of a clearer margin. But at the same time, personally, I was really pleased to see a calmer and sort of more measured approach to trying to, rather than trying, gung ho to get the third goal. It was, look, we're going to press and we're going to be calm. We're going to push onto the defence, but we're not going to go too far. We're going to keep hold of this ball. If the third goal comes, great. But if it doesn't, we're still winning this game at this moment. We're not going to push. And I think in the moment that we're in, I think that made sense.
Yeah. I think the press and the reviews that I've read of this game say that Brighton played well, but that they were lucky that the chances they missed didn't end up costing them the game.
Yeah.
In terms of, if you look at all of your 14 shots, 7 on target, it felt as if there was the opportunity to have made this more comfortable potentially.
Yeah.
But mate, you still won the game, right?
Well, this is
guess
the
if
thing.
they'd got one back, you would have been in the situation Palace had been on their ridiculous run, where you kind of look at them 6 or 7 chances where you had some, decent opportunities to score and go, it could have been such a different game.
Yeah, I think Matoma, I think he got himself in a wonderful position in the first half. He should have scored. We should have been at least one more goal up. I think we should have. But what I liked about it was we didn't have that same sort of desperate feel that we had earlier in the season, where even though we were leading, we felt like we had to constantly be, ultra attacking and have a go at everything.
Yeah.
It was calmer. It was a more mature performance, and that obviously plays into the fact that we had maybe more mature players on the pitch as well. Look, I think ultimately the game played out as Brighton wanted it to play. There was a few moments here and there. Forest had a few chances, but nothing really like open goal sort of scenarios. And I think I think it came to 86 minutes. Milner finally substituted. He looked absolutely knackered. Blaber comes on. And I think a lovely moment too I probably need to mention is that Solly March finally comes on the pitch as well. For the first time, getting back on the grass for his first appearance since April last year. April 2025.
He's been off for a long time, didn't he?
Yeah.
Well, he only got 10 minutes or whatever, didn't he? But,
maximum 8 or 9 minutes, something like that.
Yeah.
And it was just good to see him on the pitch. He wasn't in the lineup or on the bench for the Arsenal game because he had a little reaction to the game even playing. So, it's going to be a long road for Solly. I don't expect him to be starting anytime soon, even this season, I think. But it's just nice to see him back. He was definitely and clearly one of our best players over the last 5 seasons. So to have him back at full strength maybe next season would be lovely. So, it was nice to see him. Look, overall, a really calm, professional performance against a Forest side that didn't look like they knew how to defend against us, I suppose. We took the 3 points. We had 7 shots on target, which is a good sign. And also 7 shots from outside the box too, which again is something that we're starting to add to our game, which I think we need to do. We're so hell-bent over the past few seasons of trying to walk it into the back of the goal that I think, having a bit more of an approach where we mix it up a bit more, like I said with the crossing, mixing it up a bit more, making sure that opposition can't always work out what type of team we are, I think is a good thing. So look, 2-1 to us. Thankfully, the 3 points, back-to-back wins. And yes, we knew we had Arsenal the next game. We weren't expecting too much, and so it was to pity. But
can I ask? 2 back-to-back wins.
Yeah.
I'm assuming that the people that were chanting "You're getting sacked in the morning" were applauding Hurzeler again. Were they in the stadium? It was a bit more of a less hostile atmosphere.
I think, absolutely, yes, because again, early goal. I think if we got to half time 0-0, might have been a few more voices, but ultimately the performance was night and day, Andy, compared to the Palace game. Night and day, and compared to other games as well. I think I said this a few weeks back. Do you remember I said, after the Palace game, I said, we've got a few away games now where we're not actually going back to the Amex for a few weeks. It depends on those results. And I think the Brentford game really helped things. I think that gave us, straight away that a lift. And I think the start of the Forest game, scoring within 6 minutes, having quite a few chances, being expansive to some degree and being measured at the same balance, I think that's what helped the atmosphere.
Yeah.
And one last point on the atmosphere, actually, as you raise it, and I'm sort of going back in a little bit here, but the Arsenal game, right? So that's the most recent game. We lost that 1-0. That is one of the loudest Amexes and the most supportive Amexes I've heard in a while. Everyone was behind the team. Everyone was against Arsenal, if that makes sense. And everyone was supporting everyone. And there was a moment in the game, I think the cameras caught it, where Hurzeler picked up the ball for a throw-in and gave it to Hincapié, who was just time wasting on the side. And he just said, should we play football? Can we play football? Come on, let's do it, sort of thing. And that was caught on the cameras. It was replayed on the screens, and people loved that because it's that whole, look, come on, boys, let's actually play a game of football here. And it was very supportive. And I think him coming out this week and having those comments in the press conference as well, I think that's made a lot of our fans love him more because he's given a real opinion. He's been strong with his opinions, He showed his passion for the game of football, and I think that's helped people attach themselves to him a bit more, and I think that's really worked well. So, it was a much better place to be.
It's a fickle old sport, isn't it, Neil? 2 games, and you've got 2 managers who both being hated and now being loved again. But there we go. Okay, mate. Well, look, thank you for the review on that one.
You're very welcome. You're very welcome.
I guess I have to thank you for piling on the misery for Forest as well, don't I?
Yeah. Well, you're welcome. I kind of hope they go down too. I really do. I can't lie. I don't particularly enjoy watching them or the way that they're run. So for me, I quite happy if they went down. Listen, we're almost at the hour mark, so I want to, or just around the hour mark, so I want to talk about the last Premier League game. We don't have to go over it too much. I appreciate, your boys took a hell of a beating at Manchester United.
I think that's a bit
tongue in cheek.
Yeah, bit of.
I just want to talk about it because I need to get your reaction on the main talking points, which I think we know what they are. But I'd love to just get your view on it. So talk me through it. Man United 2, Crystal Palace 1 last weekend.
Oh, mate, I haven't been this annoyed about losing a game in a while. Actually, it was really annoying. Is the truth of the matter. Well, yeah. Look, let's not forget this though, right? United were top of the form table.
Yep.
Unbeaten in 10 games.
I don't think it's any shame losing to Manchester United. I don't think that's an issue,
not.
Is it?
But I think what I think the picture I'm trying to paint here is this is a team that are very different to the team that have created the previous stats in terms of Man United. Obviously, look, we'd had 2 clean sheets going into this game, one loss in 6, actually, if you turn the stats around. But obviously, let's not forget, we were 3 days after the European game as well, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that would tell you that we'd have a strong first half and then, fickle off into the end. So Glasner kept pretty much the same team, but he swapped out Gesand and started Johnson. I think we were off quick, to be fair, and I thought at the start of the game, very similar to the Tottenham game, I think we controlled possession, we looked confident, I think we played with intensity, and then came the goal, 1-0 Palace. So Kamada took the corner, Lacroix rose unmarked and headed it in, and that was his second goal in 2 games, and it was lovely to see. And there was a level of confidence, there was a level of organisation, and then even after that goal, I believe, dominated large spells of that first half. I think, and Old Trafford were. I guess they were getting a bit annoyed. They were getting a bit annoyed with us. I think we were winning duels in midfield. We were moving the ball well. I think United kind of got a bit of a foothold before half-time. Sarr made a goal line clearance, and Henderson was forced into 2 pretty good saves. All in all, I think that first half was, I went into that thinking, right, it's half time. We've done good here. We've done really good here because this is a good Man United team, right?
I think the thing is, we were playing at the same time. Obviously, we were playing the Forest game, so it was both the 2:00 kickoffs.
Yeah.
So I saw the half-time score. I was like, I cannot believe Palace are pulling out a 1-0 win here, because I honestly thought that was going to be it. I just thought if you get 1-0 up, I reckon you're going to be. Do you know what I mean? You'll keep hold of that. That was in my brain at half-time.
And I think we would have, Neil. I think we would have. Yeah. And then in the second half, obviously, look, this is no new news to anybody, but
no, I just want your take on it. Come on.
Yeah. I mean, well, look, Fernandes puts the ball forward to Cunha, and obviously. We talk about all these moments, but this one has genuinely caught the attention of both Palace fans, Man United fans, and neutrals.
Yeah.
And I think you've got this situation where Lacroix is chasing Cunha. It's not a 1-on-1 because there's defenders to the right-hand side who are also chasing back. And he has 2 fingers, Neil, 2 fingers on top of, well, not even this, actually. He's almost, like when you say, like, you're behind someone, you tap them on the shoulder to ask them a question. That's what it kind of looked like. Yeah. So it's like he was keeping hold of him, but he wasn't holding him, if that makes it. And the funny thing is that I haven't seen Lacroix not hold on to a player in that situation before.
Yeah.
Right.
Well,
he's normally got him in headlock.
Yeah.
So the fact that he had him, he obviously knew that he was dealing with this big baby Cunha, and that he was obviously trying to stop what did happening. But obviously, mate, the most hilarious situation is that by the fact that he's tapping him on the shoulder, he's kind of got him. And then as soon as he enters the box, Lacroix takes his fingers off of him, right? So you can physically see him remove his fingers. And at that exact point, Cunha acts as if he's been shot by a shotgun, both his shoulders thrown back, and the look of, I don't know, death in his face as he hits the floor. Mate, it's embarrassing is what it is. But what's even more embarrassing, Neil, is the fact that it went to a VAR review, and on television, when I watched the game, we had the view of the referee stood in front of the monitor, right? And you could see what they played him. So I don't blame the referee, but what they played him on the monitor wasn't the build-up into the box. It was the bit that he was in the box. So,
Right.
and it wasn't a clear enough view to show what everyone else has seen. Are you telling me that referee, if he'd have seen what I would have seen, wouldn't have gone, he dived? Everyone in the world knows he dived. So how do we get to a point where the referee on the pitch doesn't know because of Stockley Park and the fact that they didn't give him the right footage? And also, they should have intervened and they didn't.
It's a real mess, this decision. And I think it's another one of those situations where it's about the rules again. It's about the letter of the law rather than actually looking at the game in reality and going, that doesn't make any sense. Because the rules say, you can't pull back a player if he's got a goal scoring opportunity, all this sort of rubbish. I get it. I get the rules, right? Everyone understands the rules, but they're not written for a situation like this. They're not written for a situation where someone literally touches a player and somehow that stops him from shooting a goal. That's not the effect of what this is about.
Well,
the Van de Ven one on your game against Palace, for Palace Spurs, that is exactly what that scenario is. That's the perfect example. It happened literally in your next game. Actual contact, pulling the player away from the ball so he can't take a shot. That's it. That's dog-so. That's a red card. That's a penalty. That's fine. This one, no, mate. This is the spirit of the game again being just diluted. It's absolutely ridiculous.
And even Man United fans and Man United podcasts and all of this other stuff which have been shared with me in the last week, they've all gone, we don't want to win like that. Like, that is, it's actually embarrassing is what it is. I mean, they've taken the win, but, they don't want to win like that. Yeah. And I think this is my point. And we won't labour the point too much, but it is about the fact that how do we end up with a referee from Manchester, by the way, if you have a look on his page.
Oh, really?
He is from Manchester.
Didn't know that.
How do we end up with a referee who has been guided into that decision? And I mean, he'd already decided that it was a penalty before it went to review. Yeah. And then even after all that multi-million pounds worth of technology, how can I see on the television that, and everybody else see on the television, that it was that? I mean, some think he's wrong, but also, how is Lacroix still suspended? How has it not been overturned? How are we... And also, how was... Well, this is my next point, Neil, because not only did this happen, but also, did you see the Harry Maguire situation that happened with Strand Larsen?
Yeah.
So this is where I think, and it's a little bit going back to what you were saying earlier, mate, about this isn't football, and there needs to be another level to it, right? Like retrospective refereeing about like the fairness of the game and bringing the game into disrepute and stuff like this.
Yeah.
I genuinely believe that situations that are that clear cut, where someone's blatantly dived and it's been proven they've dived, and then you've got another situation where Harry Maguire goes to header a ball, which he does. Right. Yep. And Strand Larsen's there and he puts his foot up a good half a metre away from Harry Maguire's head. And as the ball, as Harry Maguire headers the ball, which is going to head, he pretends that Strand Larsen's kicked him in the face.
Yeah.
And I mean, there is literally, I mean, Strand Larsen's like, what are you doing, mate? And again, all the Man United fans are like, this is embarrassing. This is actually embarrassing. But it's a really, really interesting situation. One of which, them two things happened. We've lost probably our best defender over the first one. And I don't know, mate. I think Maguire's lost some dignity over the second one. But I do believe that retrospective situations should come into play there, where actually if you're trying to cheat and it's on national TV, you're trying to cheat, then maybe there should be some kind of fines or what. That's the only way they're ever going to stop doing it, mate.
So just to clarify, so an hour ago you were sitting here telling me that the goalkeeper going down for Arsenal, time wasting, feigning injury, all of that. That's all right. That's part of the game. That's just clever.
It's different.
That's just clever.
No.
But faking injury against your team and diving and that's completely against the spirit of the game that I was talking about an hour ago.
No. I get your point. You've made it. And you made it quite well, to be fair.
Pot's called. It wants the kettle back.
Yeah, I don't know though, mate, because I think there's a difference between trying to get other players sent off. Harry Maguire, right? Okay, this is the other thing because Harry Maguire didn't even stop there, right? As soon as that penalty appeal came in, he went straight over and he was in the referee's ear, right?
It's just gamesmanship, Andy. It's them wanting
What?
an advantage, isn't it? Yeah, they want an advantage.
Putting your hand up. Hang on a minute.
Yeah.
What? Okay, in the rules of the game, Neil, if you go like this, and for those of you listening as opposed to watching, right, it's that pretending to hold a card.
Yep.
You get booked, right?
Yep.
Maguire did that twice,
yeah.
right? He did that twice, and he should have got booked himself.
Yep.
So I think the point being is that the cheating little gits from Man United overdid it in this occasion, and have been found out by their own team and their own fans. It's embarrassing.
I'm glad you're starting to see the other side of this, which is the spirit of the game is starting to go down the drain, mate, and we need to do something to clean this up.
Retrospective, this is what this is about. At no point, just like if you're walking down the street and you do something, it's always caught on 7 people's mobile phones. It's caught on CCTV.
Yeah.
Football is no different. How can you do something, it be common knowledge, and you get no repercussions from it?
Yeah. Yeah, no,
do you
I
get
get
what I'm saying? I mean, it's ridiculous. So
okay,
I think something's got to happen with that. But anyway, it changed the whole game, Neil. It changed the whole game. We're down to 10 men. United take the lead. Of course that's going to happen, right? With that Sesko header, which was actually quite a good goal. But obviously we're still so annoyed about the whole situation. Mate, to be honest with you, in the second half, we defended quite well under pressure for the rest of the game. Henderson made some good saves.
Yeah, he did.
And we still didn't give up, right? We still tried to hit him on the counter. And here's a statement. We played better with 10 men against Man United than we did with 11 men playing against Wolves. But that is the truth. I'm not even saying it for comedic value. It's genuinely the truth, which gave me the positivity to go, do you know what? Going into the other games that we got coming up, actually, there is progress being made. We've been hard done by. Everyone knows we have.
Yeah.
Get through the game. Don't do your goal difference over. It was a tough defeat to take. I think we looked much improved. We deserved at least a point out of it, is the truth, in my eyes. And the team were playing for Glasner, which was the biggest turning point of that game, Neil, right? The European win, seems to have restored kind of the belief in everybody.
Sure.
That game, the togetherness of being hard done by whatever it was, amounted to that win at Tottenham the other day.
Yeah.
My final statement, a defeat, but not a defeated team.
I get you. I understand it because, like you say, it's spirit, isn't it? And it's. I think you've proved the point by winning at Spurs. So I think that's ultimately the bottom line is now you seem to be winning more games, which is always a good start. And Albion are the same way. I don't feel the fact that we lost to Arsenal. I don't feel like a loss, if that makes sense. I don't feel like my God, everything's lost again. We had a good performance. We worked hard. We've had two wins before that. We roll on to the next one. And I think that sort of fight and togetherness that you're talking about, that Albion have shown as well, I think is what will hopefully help us for the rest of the season. Speaking of which,
yeah.
Before we get on to anything else, let's just clarify then, you sort of mentioned it earlier, the Premier League positions currently. So both of us, like all the other teams, have played 29 games. We therefore have 9 games to go until the end of the season. Can't believe it's come around so quickly. Crystal Palace in 13th, Brighton in 14th, Palace 38 points, Brighton 1 point behind 37. Just to be really clear, currently 18th place is West Ham, so they have 28. So Crystal Palace 10 points ahead. I think you are now pretty much there. I think that 38 points is exactly the number that I would suggest is fine. I think there's no suggestion now at all that you would even fall back into the relegation zone. I think Brighton probably need another point, I would suggest. That 38 feels about right. Yeah, I don't know. I just worry, but I think 38 is probably the magic number personally. We are, both of us, as I say, 38, 37, and 8th place, which could be a European spot. 5 points Palace behind that, 6 points Brighton. I think that's too much of a gap because there's too many teams between us and that place now. I think Brighton personally have to rely on just a bit of a relaxing, slow couple of points here or there and finish the season blandly, I think.
Well, I think from a Palace perspective, we got Leeds coming up. But we've got one of the toughest run-ins, actually. Arsenal on the last day as well. So if we're going to do anything, we've got to keep mounting the points now. I still go by the fact that our best route into Europe next year is by winning it.
Welcome back. Andy,
Welcome.
just before we finish, because we knew this was going to be a bit of a longer episode because we've got so much to cover, I think it's important, obviously, to talk about the Conference League. What was billed as a possible tricky game against Zinski Mostar ended up not being too tricky at all, did it?
No. I wouldn't say we sailed through it, but we got the result we wanted at the end of it, mate. I mean, it was a banana skin waiting to happen. For me, it was about whether we could weather the storm and whether the sun would come up at the right point for us. And I believe it did, is the truth. You know what it's like, right? The Palace board were playing the stick or twist situation. They decided to stick. Ultimately, it looks like they made the right decision, right?
Yeah.
All of the Glasner out situation, all the other bits and pieces. And mate, I've taken some stick on socials. I think nearly 13,000 people have seen a clip on TikTok that we put on there, with us talking about, whether it's time for Glasner to move on and all the other bits and pieces. And just to clarify, I didn't like the comments that he made, which indicated to me that he wasn't all in. That was the bit that I wasn't happy with. And I think the players picked up on that, which showed on the pitch. Something has changed now, and that is why I'm quite happy for him to stick around, because I feel like as a team, they are up for achieving something. And that's all you want as a fan, right? I don't hate the guy. I love the guy. He's given me the best ever time. I just felt that relationship had gone a little bit awry. Things have now changed in 3 games, and I'm a fickle fan, and I love him again.
It's all about him at the end of the day. If he shuts up and just gets on with the job, and you'll win a European trophy probably because you're the best team. You should win it. You're the best team in the cup. So if he just shuts up, he knows that he can actually get another little European trophy on his CV. All the players know that as well. And I think it's just got to that point where they realise, actually, we've only got a few more games to go here. We could do something really special, and they've realised it. So yeah, keep your toys in your pram and just shut up and get on with it.
I know, it's mad, isn't it? It really is. But I mean, look, going back to this then, so what was it, last Thursday now? It was our first ever knockout tie in Europe, right? And there's something it's important to remember, right? You're talking about us winning this competition. It's the first time we've ever been in it, Neil, right?
Yeah, I know.
It's our first ever knockout. 1-1 on aggregate going in, thank you, going into that first away leg. The reward, a place in the last 16, which sounds quite exciting, even though it is the Farmers League. 3 changes from the Wolves game. Gessan started, which was great to see. I like the fact that Glasner's getting brave now and making that decision. Lacroix was back from injury. Obviously, this is prior to him then being suspended and all the other bits and pieces. And Commander was reintroduced back into the starting lineup. Henderson had a little award ceremony before the game and was because he was making his 100th appearance for the club.
Oh, was he? Well, that's come around quick.
It has come around quick, which is nice. Obviously, the keepers get to rack them up quite quickly, don't they? Because they play every game. Atmosphere was great in the stadium, actually. Fireworks, the whole shebang. It was interesting because I wasn't quite sure what kind of reaction Glasner was going to get. But what was lovely to see was that the Homesdale fanatics had advertised something before the game and encouraged everyone in Homesdale to get there at least an hour early to basically cheerlead the warm-up in the stadium. So if you can imagine the atmosphere during the game for the Homesdale fanatics, that was what was going on as the players were doing their warm-up.
Wow.
It was quite something to see.
I don't
quite
think they'll see that
actually.
at the Amex, blimey. Everyone likes their beers too much. That's brilliant.
Yeah, but I think it was good. It was good fan leadership by the fact that it was a shift. It was the fans saying to the players, look, what's been done is done. Let's start again. And it's what we needed, to be brutally honest. So yeah, mate, it was always going to be a tricky one, right? Mostar playing a low block, Palace with the possession. We cannot do this normally, right? We cannot do this normally, which is why I was really happy to see the lineup that he'd put in. The Gessan starting, the only man potentially on that pitch who's willing to run past anybody or take them on. The first half saw us creating many chances, Neil, with the challenge being to find a way through the block. It felt like it was going to happen, but it took a Wharton free kick to make it happen, which found the head of Lacroix to break the deadlock. I quite enjoyed that because it was something that clearly had been practiced. We worked our way through. Look, mate, some of it was scrappy, some of it weren't pretty, and this is why, from the outside, you look at it and go 2-0 win against the Bosnian team. It wasn't quite as easy as the scoreline would suggest. Cards were being awarded all over the place, but I don't know. It was. It was nice to see that we were competing. We were winning the second balls, and our heads weren't getting down and we weren't getting frustrated like we have done prior when we played the likes of Larnaca and so on at home. Second half saw us have even more possession, which is weird. Set pieces looking the best way to crack the deadlock. Chris Richards came really close with his head a few times. Zrinski did actually get the ball in the back of the net on the counter, but it was offside. I mean, it was clearly offside as well, but it still kind of gave us the EBGBs because you're like, oh, here we go. Here's the story that's already written kind of thing. And then came an absolute flurry of chances for Palace. Gessan attempting to chip the keeper, which was incredibly the wrong move from him. All he had to do was tap it in and he went for the sublime. And then Sarr missed from a Mitchell cross, also hitting the keeper on a one-on-one a couple of minutes later as well. We had, mate, this could have been 6-0 if we'd have been as clinical as we were the other night, to be fair. But in extra time, Gessan decided that enough was enough, Neil. Enough was enough. And he found some space, clever bit of passing move with Johnson, which was lovely to see because obviously Johnson had come on, I think, for Kamada at that point. And they'd linked up really, really well together. And let's be honest, when you're playing a Bosnian league team, you should be able to link up quite well together and play some one-on-ones and some 1-2s and so on. He shot a cross goal and beat the keeper to make it 2-0. So I guess, look, to overview, it was a good win. I've now got the belief, and I think the team have got the belief to go, we can beat a low block. They didn't repeat the same tricks over and over again. They did mix things up. They did try some new stuff. Glasner did change things up, made some changes with some of the options on the bench. I think a lot of the criticisms that he was getting, he has learnt from, which is great to see. So what's my overview? Much better.
Yeah.
Gessan was the difference. Canvo, superb. Being more aggressive, playing forward balls once again. Is this the start to our Conference League campaign? I think it might be. And it feels like we've turned a massive corner, Neil. Genuinely.
Honestly, I think I can tell because I've spoken to you a couple of times now since that game, and you've mentioned it a few times. I can really see that you're looking very positive about your chances now in the Conference League. I think you've got through that playoff, which can always be a tricky concept of coming out of the league into a playoff. You're through that now, like you say, last 16, and then obviously you had the Conference League draw at the end of the week after that.
Yeah.
You're going to face
Larnaca
again.
Can you believe this? Can you believe this, that we've been drawn a team we've already played?
Interesting, isn't it?
Yeah, it's really it's a bit annoying actually for the Palace. Obviously, I'm not lucky enough to be one of the travelling Palace fans. I don't have enough points at the moment, but whoever them 500 people were that went to Larnaca last time are going to get the absolute pleasure of going to Larnaca this time, albeit a little bit more dangerous this time potentially. So yeah, 2 legs, first home. Basically, they've drawn the home leg first this time, which means that the first home leg is on the 12th of March.
Oh, so you got them. You're at Selhurst Park first.
We're at Selhurst Park first, and then the away leg is the 19th of March. Annoyingly, I'm away on my work trip.
Right.
So I'm not even going to be able to make it to that one, but I will be watching it. So yeah, look, as I said, we already played them in the league phase. They beat us. And it was one of the most frustrating games that I've watched, where it was 11 men behind the ball, and it was build a wall, and we just couldn't find our way over, through it, or around it. Do you know what I mean?
I do. I think, obviously, still though, 2 legs against Larnaca, you should have enough somehow to get through and get past them.
Mate, we're a different team now, Neil.
Oh yeah, exactly, and that's my point. That this is a point of the season now where you've got nothing else to focus on, particularly anyway. You've got a better squad size when it comes to attacking players now as well. Like you said, you're a better team now than you were maybe at the beginning of the season as well. So you've got Larnaca, which you probably will get past. Let's be honest, you should get past them over 2 legs in particular. The draw also shows you, though, then what side of the draw you're on and all that sort of stuff. So if you get through the last 16, that means you're in the quarterfinals.
Yeah.
And then what's the options for the quarterfinals?
Fiorentina or Raquel.
Right. Okay. So Fiorentina is where I would argue it starts getting a bit more serious.
Oh, that is a bit more serious, and I'd expect it to be them. So, yeah, I think. Look, we have got quite a decent route through. I don't think we would meet some of the other bigger opposition till later on because they're on the other side of the draw.
Yeah.
So I think it'd be a good final if we do get that far. Look, you were joking with me a while back, and you're like, you got to win this. You need to win this competition.
Oh, I'm not joking.
Well, no, but look,
you've got the best squad, you've got the best team,
mate,
you've got the best manager. You should win it.
And we're one of the most inexperienced European clubs, if not the most inexperienced European club.
It's not about the club, it's about the players on the pitch. You should win it.
Well, yeah, but I mean, you've got to remember, some of these lesser teams have got players that are used to playing in Europe, used to playing against these European teams. But our club is not, and hence why we've had a rocky road up until this point. You're absolutely right. On paper, we have got probably the most expensive squad in that league. We've got loads of internationals and all the other things. But also, mate, it is our first time in this competition. I was genuinely terrified about our inability to break down a low block. Now I've seen us do it, and I think the players have seen us do it. I can somehow see this unfolding. I dare to dream. Andy,
are you saying that Crystal Palace are going to win the Conference League?
I really hope so, Neil. Of course I hope so, mate, because the Brighton fans would be mad. And of course, it wouldn't be. I mean, if we won this, mate, it wouldn't be an achievement, would it? Because it's the Farmers League.
Yeah, exactly.
But, let's see how long it takes you.
Well, look, the other thing about all of this, obviously, it's a really obvious thing to say, but it's something that goes sometimes under the radar until you really talk about it. If you do win this, you're going to be in Europa League next season.
Oh, until they find a way to kick us out. Yeah.
Well, yeah, you better check his emails again. But okay, well, look, I'm honestly, I'm glad you got past your low block. I know it was such a big thing for you, and I'm really pleased. I'd love Brighton to work that out sometime as well. So that would be good. And we'll have to keep an eye on how Fiorentina are getting on, because I think that's going to be the next big stumbling block once you get past Larnaca.
It will be, but also some of the bigger teams we're beating there might not play the low block, and therefore we might be all right, because if someone wants to play a game with us, I think we'll do them. So, fingers crossed, mate. But, that's only less than a week, the next game, so it's coming thick and fast. Any final news from you, Neil, at all? Any other club news?
The only club news, as of today, we got a notification that Jack Hinshelwood has signed a new contract with the club, which is good news.
That's good. That's really good.
It is. 20-year-old signed a new contract, so he's off his probably what would have been quite a low contract in some respects, youth team maybe, possibly, onto the first team side of things. Shows willing that we want to keep him after some interest from Nottingham Forest in the window. So good news.
Someone's buying himself a new car, right? This is going to be his first big pay packet. It's gone from 50 quid a week to 50 grand.
Probably, yeah. Exactly that. But no, that's it really. And that's it for Seagull Eagle this week. Thank you very much for listening.
Do make sure you follow the show so you don't miss the next episode when it drops. You can find us on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, and X.
Just search Seagull Eagle and get the conversation started, or you can drop us an email at seagulleaglepodcast@gmail.com.
Listen carefully, people, because we'll be back on Tuesday, the 17th of March, to discuss the Brighton game against Sunderland and Palace's games against Larnaca and Leeds. Until then, Eagles!
Seagulls! I love you, Fabian.